In this course, you will learn how to build an event-driven system with React and FastAPI. An event-driven system is a common way to set up software. Antonio from Scalable Scripts developed this course. We've published quite a few courses from him, and they're always great.
So, this is the app. Let me explain you first how it will work. We will create a delivery that will pick a product from one place and deliver it to a customer. We need to set a budget, and we need to write some delivery notes like pick 2 pizzas and deliver to customer. And that should be it. Let's submit. And this is the new page that we redirect. So this is the delivery, and this is the ID of the delivery. We can see it here also. So this JSON is the object that we create on our first submit. So this object here will change once we submit these events. So while we deliver a product, it may have a lot of events. So starting the delivery, increasing the budget, pick up products, deliver products, and many more. But I will keep these events very small because they can be a lot. And once I submit these events, this JSON will change, and this progress bar here will change like this. For example, when I start the delivery, we can see that we have the first half is in progress because now the status is active. So now we are delivering this product. So we haven't picked up yet the products because we need to submit this form. So when we pick the products, we have the purchase price. So I'll put 20 here, and the quantity. So we need 2 pizzas. Let's submit. And now the JSON changed, and also the first progress bar has been completed. The status now it is collected, and we have purchase price 20 and quantity 2. So we have 2 pizzas, and we want to deliver it to the customer. Now, when we deliver it to the customer, we want to sell it with a higher price and the same 2 pizzas that we want. Once we submit this, everything is completed here. And the JSON has changed. So the quantity is 0, but we have also a sell price, and the budget has increased. So this is a simplified app. Of course, here can be many more events, many more states, but let's see how do we build the state in the backend for this scenario. So the main part of this tutorial is to explain that we will have events in our backend, which we will store them in the database, and all these events will construct in a Redis cache the state of the current delivery. So the state, we show it here. This is the current state, and this is built by all these events in the backend. So this is the main concept that we will learn in this tutorial, and this will function even if Redis fails. What do I mean by that? So in case Redis fails and we don't have the current state in our cache, we still have all our events in the database, and once Redis fails, we will reconstruct this object from the beginning, doing the same logic that we did in every event. So we will see how we will do this in this tutorial. Now let's start building the app. Let's start by building the backend with FastAPI, and let's connect also to the Redis database. So the first step is to log in the Redis cloud, and here I will create a new subscription. I'll select Europe here, and this is free, and subscription name I will call it just DB database, and I will create this subscription, and I will create a new database here. So this is just a subscription that I call it database. And the database name, I will call it FastAPI DB. So we will use the Redis stack here. I don't think we need anything else. Make sure to get the password here because we need to connect with the database, and I will create this database right now. So let's wait a little. So the database is ready. We have the endpoint here, and we are ready now to build the backend with FastAPI. But first we need to download also another software, which is Redis Insight. This tool will be used to monitor the database because we need to check the data that are inside. For the moment, my editor PyCharm cannot see the data inside the Redis cloud, but this software is by Redis, and we can connect here directly. So we need the host, which is this one. So let me copy it, paste it here, and automatically it will set also the port, the alias. The username should be default. So username is default, and the password I will copy it here, and I will paste it here. And do we have test connection? So let's add Redis database, and I think it is ready. So if I go here, we can see that we don't have any tables inside this database, but we will create it with FastAPI. So let's create the empty folder here, FastAPI, and I will create a file called main.py. The first step here is to install FastAPI. So pip install FastAPI. I already have installed it in my machine, and we will import it here. So from FastAPI we need to import FastAPI, and then we will create the app which is equal to FastAPI like this. And that should be it for creating a basic app that does nothing, but we need to add some endpoints later. One other thing which is important, because we will use also React frontend, we need to import FastAPI middleware course, and we will import the course middleware. Why do we need this? I will paste also this code. So we will add the middleware, course middleware, and we will allow this origin, which will be our React app. So we need this because our backend will run on port 8000 and our frontend will run on port 3000, and we will have problems if we don't add this line, so they won't communicate with each other. If we add this middleware, our React app will successfully connect with our backend, and that should be it. Now let's connect with Redis. So for that we need to install a package, pip install Redis OM. So this package is useful for connecting to the Redis database. So from Redis OM we need to import get Redis connection, and the Redis connection here will be equal to get Redis connection, and we need to add some values, which the first one is host, and let's go to our cloud here, and I'll copy again the public endpoint and I will paste it here. I will cut the port here because we need another value here, which is a port, and will be equal to that port. Then we need the password, which I will copy it here, and we don't need to add the username because it is a default username. And we need also another value, which is decode responses to true. and that should be it. So with this we may connect successfully to Redis, but we have to test it. To test it, open the terminal and write uvcorn. Make sure also to install uvcorn in your machine. Main app reload. So we don't have any errors, which means this Redis connection here, it is successful. And now let's add the models that we will work in this app. So from Redis OM we need to import also the hash model, and let's create a class here. I'll call it delivery, and this will extend from the hash model. And this object I will add only two properties: the budget, which is an integer, and by default I will initialize it with 0, and the notes, which is a string, by default empty. And to connect this model with the Redis database, we need to add here a class meta, and the database will be equal to Redis. And that should be it for this model. I will save it. Not sure if Redis Inside will create something here. Let me refresh. So we need to create objects in order to see it, so we don't have any objects. And let's create the second one that we need, which is the event. So I'll copy this, paste it here, and I will create the event. So this will be the main object. We need the delivery object just for the ID, so we will create it in the beginning just to get the ID of this delivery, and we will work only with events. And this event will have the delivery ID, which will be a string, and by default it will be none. We need the type, so this is the event type. We will see it later how we will use it, which is a string, and the data, which is a string. So the data will be the JSON or the body that we will send in the request. And that's it. So we created two objects, and now we need to add the endpoints that we will work. So let's create the first one, which is the creating a delivery. So I will create here, I will add a decorator up. This will be a post request to the endpoint will be deliveries create. And let's add an asynchronous function here, def create. This will have a request as a request. So let's import in the FastAPI here also the request, and I want to get the body of that request. So body is equal to await request JSON, and with that JSON we will create the delivery. So the delivery will be equal to a new delivery with a budget, which will be equal to body data budget. So why will we have this data in front of the body? I'll explain it later, because all the requests will have the same format, and because they have the same format, all the parameters will be inside the data key, and that's why I will create it like this. And same will happen for the nodes. So nodes will be equal to body data and nodes, and in the end I will save it. For the moment let's return this delivery and let's see if it works. And to test it, let's see if UVcorn is running. It is running. Let's open Postman and let's make here a request, a post request to HTTP localhost port 8000 /deliveries create, and in the body we will have this JSON. So we need the type, which for the moment we don't use it, but this will be the request, and the type will be create delivery. It will make sense later why we need that type. And we need the data, which is an object that will contain the budget, 50 for the moment, and the notes, which is pick 2 pizzas. And that should be it. So this is the format that we want in every event. If I send this request, I get this response. So I get the budget, I get the notes, and I get also a primary key. So this is the ID that is stored in the Redis database. If I open Redis Insight now, I will refresh and we have now a value here. If I click here, we will see also the fields. So we have a primary key, a budget, and the notes. So as we can see, we can monitor the database with this software. So we created a delivery, but this is not the main part of our app. We want to create the event, which is the focus of this tutorial. So with the delivery, I will also create an event here, which is equal to event. And this will have a delivery ID, which is equal to this delivery primary key, like this. It will have a type. So the type will be stored in the event object, so type here. And we need the data as they are. So data will be equal to, I can use here body.data, but since the data here is a string, I need to convert it from a dictionary to a string. So I need to use here JSON dump string, like this. And don't forget to import JSON on top. And with this we will store also the event in the database. And let me return the event here. And let me send this request again, send it. And as we can see, we created the event, which has its own primary key, the delivery ID of that delivery that we just created, the type, and the data as a string, but it is a JSON inside. And also in the Redis Insight, we can see that we created the delivery, but we didn't create the event because I forgot to add save here. So my bad there. Let me send it again. And if I check it again, we will have the event object here, which has its own ID, delivery ID, the type, and the budget. So this event table will contain all the logs that all the events that happen for this delivery. So it is really important. Now we stored these objects in the database, but this is not enough. So the response that we return here is the object that we store in the database, but we have to return something else. So we have to return the state of the delivery. So this is a delivery object in the database, and this is the event, but we have to combine both of those to represent the actual state. So It may be confusing for you for the moment, but you will understand it more once I add more code. So I will create here a Python file. I will call it I want to call it events, but this will be confusing with the actual event here, so I'll call it consumers. It is the same, but I just want to avoid confusion. And here I'll create a function which is create delivery. And this function will have two parameters, a state and an event. So you may be already confused here. This is a function that we will use, let me use it right now here, to construct the state that we want to return. So the state will be equal to consumers create delivery. So this function, we will pass the actual state, but the actual state for the first event, so the first delivery create, is an empty object because we didn't create anything yet. So the first parameter here is an empty string, and the second one is the actual event that we just created here. And this function will return the state that we want in the frontend to handle. And I will return it here. And what will be that state? For the moment, it will be very simple. I will return the budget, which is actually I will get the data here, which is equal to JSON load string event.data. We need to parse the data that we store here, which is this data here, and the budget will be equal to data budget. I will cast it as an integer because we may have problems later on with these types. We need the nodes, which is equal, not equal, it is data nodes, and we need also the another value which we don't have it for the moment, which is the status. So the first time that we create a delivery, the status will be ready. So this is an extra value which our frontend won't provide, but we need this value in order to track the delivery. And this will change once a different event happens, and it is the best way to do it like this, instead of just updating it from the frontend or any other way. Also, I forgot also one other value, which is the ID of the delivery. So this will be event.delivery ID like this. And that should be it. So this is the state that we want to build. And it is almost similar with the value that we returned here, but it will change a lot. And we want to be able to maintain this structure. So let's test it. We pass the state parameter here, but we don't use it, but it's okay because this is our first event. In the other events, we will use it every time. And if I send now the request, we will get this response. So it is almost similar, but we have a status now, and this object will change a lot. And now we need another endpoint to get the status of this delivery. So this is a post request. We update the status here, but we need another get request to get the current status. And for that, I will create another function. Actually, I will create it here on top. This will be an asynchronous function, get state, and this will have a primary key as a string as a parameter, and this will be a GET request to deliveries with the primary key here and status. But how do we get the status? So this state that we just created here, we won't rebuild it again, and the best way is to get it from Redis. So we should add also another line here that we need to store the actual state in the Redis cache. When we save the objects here, we save it in the Redis JSON database, so it is a database just like MongoDB. But if we use the Redis object directly, like this, we will store it in the Redis cache. So that's why I chose it like this. It is a benefit of using also the Redis cache and also the Redis database, just like MongoDB. Now, when we set the value in the cache, we need a key and a value. So the key will be delivery, and we need to pass the delivery ID here. And to pass it, I will add an F here, not here, here, and I will pass the delivery primary key here. And the value will be the state, but this state, it is an object, so I have to use JSON dump string the state, and that should be it. So when we create the state, we will store it in the cache and return it, and when we get the state here, we will do the opposite, so we will get it from the cache. So state is equal to Redis get, I'll put an F here, delivery with the primary key, and I will return JSON dump string the state, because the value that we stored is a string, and we will get also a string here, and we want to return an object or a dictionary, and that should be it. This endpoint won't work because we haven't stored anything in Redis, so I will add another GET request. This will be the GET request to localhost 8000 deliveries. We need this ID that we just created. I'll pass it here, and status. Send it, and we get an error because I think this value here is none when we don't have anything. And let me do it like this. If state is not none, we return this value. Otherwise, I will return just an empty object. But this will change later. So for the moment, I will just put it as an empty object. And if I get the value here, so I need to restart UVcorn, I get an empty object because I need to create another object again in order to be saved on Redis. So I'll create another object, I'll copy the ID here, I will paste it here, send it, and we get the value. So it's not looking good because instead of dumping the string, I need to load the string. So my bad here. And now it looks better. So this endpoint will get the current state of this delivery every time. Now we want to add another event that just changes the status from ready to active. So let's do it now. I will add another endpoint which will be similar to this one. So this will be async def, I'll call it dispatch, and this will have a request as a request, just like this one, and this will be a post request to just event. And what do we want to add here? So this delivers create is similar to this one. The only problem that we need another endpoint for the delivers create is that we don't have a delivery ID, and we create it here. But here we have the delivery ID in the event itself. Actually, let me create the event. So I'll duplicate the tab, and this will be event here. And in the body will be, the type will change now. Instead of create delivery, it will be start delivery. And in the data, we don't need to send anything, so it will be like this. So this is the event that we will send, and all the other events will be sent through this endpoint. So only the type will distinguish the behavior and the data. And now let's go here. So how do we change the status based on this information? The first step is to get the body, to parse it, and we need to create the event in the database, just like we did here. So we are missing the delivery ID. So the delivery ID will be equal to body delivery ID. So this is something that I should add because I forgot. So we need the type, we need also the delivery ID here, which will be this one. So my bad there. These are all the informations that we need. Start delivery, delivery ID, and the data. And now we created the event, and now we need to manipulate the state. How it will work? So the first step is to get the current state, and we will get it like this. So state will be equal, we have this function get state here, it will be equal to await get underscore state, and we need to pass the delivery ID there. We need a wait because this is an asynchronous function, otherwise it won't return what we want. And this state for the moment will be this value. So this is what do we want to get. And based on that state, we need to just change the status from ready to active. And we can simply do it here. State, let's say it is a status, it is active, but it won't work like that. So this is not the right way to do it. We need to create another function in the consumers here, start delivery, which will accept the state and the event. And this time we will just update the state. We can do it like this. So state status is equal to active, but I prefer this way. So I will return here the state. I will use a pipe here, and I want to change the status to active like this. So this operator will update this value to this new value, and that should be it. So if I go to the main.py file, the new state now will be equal to consumers start delivery. We will pass the current state and the event, which momentarily we won't use there, but it doesn't matter. We need to save it to Redis. So delivery primary key here is delivery ID, and we need to save the new state, and we need to return the new state. So that's it for this event. We still need to make some changes, but let's test if it works. So if I send this event, I will get the same object, but now the status is active. And now if I send also the same request again here, the status is active. As you can see, the status of that delivery has been updated. Now it is driving, let's say. So this is how it will work, but there are some problems here, which is this start delivery. We added the endpoint to the event here, so we don't know if it is start delivery or another event. So we need to create a general way to call a function based on the type. So the type is start delivery in our case. How do we do that? So I will create now here a constant. I will call it consumers. And this will be equal to an object that will be mapped like this. Create underscore delivery, which will be the type, will be mapped to the create delivery function, like this. And start delivery will be mapped to the start delivery function. So why do we need this constant? We need this constant now because we can change now this start delivery to consumers constant here. We will pass the type, which is this body type or event.type. So I'll pass event.type there. And we will do the same thing. So the same will happen for the create delivery here. So I will do it like this. And this is a dynamic way of calling different function based on just the type. So right now we don't know if we are calling start delivery or another event that we will create later. So let us try this event. So I will create another delivery, send, and indeed it works. So I will copy this new ID, paste it here, and it works. The status is ready. Now if I go to this other event, I will paste the new delivery ID here, send it, and now the status is active. If I send the request here, the status is active. So this is the dynamic way of calling different consumers. Now the structure is ready and we can add easily multiple events. So let's add another one. So here we made the status active. I will duplicate the tab, and now we will send another event, and this time will be pickup products. And the delivery ID will be the same. And in the data property, we will send the purchase price, which will be 20, and the quantity, which will be 2 in our case. So we want to send this event, and we don't want to do anything here. So this is ready. This can handle multiple events types, and the only thing left that we need to add is to add the consumer here. So we need to add, I will create the function pickup products. This will accept a state and an event, and that's it. So it has become really easy to add multiple events. This is pickup products, and this is pickup products. So we easily added one event. Let's handle the case in our function now. What will happen when we get this event? So first I will copy this part. I will get the data from the event.data, and I will return in the end the state, the pipe here, and these are the things that will change. It will change the budget, it will decrease, so I'll put an empty value for the moment. We will add the purchase price, which will be data purchase price. I will cast it as an integer because we may have problems. We need also the quantity, and this is a quantity here, and also the status will change. It will become collected. So let's also calculate the budget. So the new budget, I will add it here, new budget is equal to state budget minus the purchase price times here the quantity, and that should be it. We will assign the new budget here, and it is ready. So this is almost completed, so we will add later a validation, but for the moment this will work. Let's try to send the request, and it worked. As we can see, our budget decreased, the status changed, and we added 2 new properties. And if we send the request, we will get the new updated state here. So it is working fine. And now we can add also the last event, which we can complete this delivery. I'll duplicate this, and this will be deliver products. And here, instead of purchase price, we will add sell price, and that should be it. So let's add it here also. This will be almost similar. Let's add the function deliver products with the state and the event, and let's add it here, deliver products. And inside here, actually I will copy the code here because it is almost similar. So we will get the data from the event, and now our new budget, it will be our budget plus the not purchase price but sell price here. This is also sell price. The quantity also will change, so I will add a new field here. New quantity is the old quantity, which is state quantity, minus this value. And here I will add the new quantity. And in the end, the status will be completed. So we will complete the delivery here. So it is the same as this one, but we will increase the budget, we will decrease the quantity, and we will change the status. And that should be it. So deliver products, sell price, quantity, everything is correct. Let's send this event, and it is working fine. As we can see, the status has changed, the purchase price and the sell price are the same, and the quantity has been decreased to 0. So everything is correct. We added all the events, and this is the best case scenario. So what do I mean by that? Every event that we sent has been successfully executed, and we didn't have any edge cases. When we create an event-driven architecture, sometimes we may send events that should not, when it should not be the time, or we can send errors. So we should have a lot of validation using these events. For example, when we start a delivery, what happens when we send it again? The delivery is already active. We should throw an error like the delivery has already started. Or what happens when we purchase products and we don't have the budget for it? So let's handle these edge cases. The first step is to create another event, and this time I will change the notes here. We will pick 3 pizzas, but we won't have the budget for it because 1 pizza is 20 and the budget is 50. Let's send this request and it worked fine. Now I will copy this ID, I will add it here, and I will start this delivery. But before I send the event, I will add a validation here, and the validation will be for the status of this delivery. So here I will add an if condition. If state that status is not ready, then we will raise an exception, because we cannot make the delivery active once it's already gone or it has another state. So only when the state is ready we can change the status to active. And here I will raise an HTTP exception. So let me import this. So the HTTP should be uppercase, and we need to import from FastAPI HTTP exception. And here the status code, I will make it 400, and the detail is delivery already started. And that's it for a simple validation. So if we add this validation, when we post it the first time to start the delivery, we will make it active. So this is correct. But when we send it the second time, we will get an error. Delivery has already started. We cannot start it again. So that is the simplest validation. And we can add more complex validations like this budget here. So we decrease the budget, but what happens if the budget, so the new budget, is less than 0? So we don't have the budget to purchase the products. So I will raise another exception here, and the status code will be the same. And here I will say not enough budget, and that should be it. So the delivery has already been started. I'll copy the delivery ID, I'll paste it here. The purchase price is 20 and the quantity will be 3. So this will be more than the current budget, which is 50. Let's send this request and we get the error, not enough budget. And now it will become like a tree. So in this case, we may have multiple choices to solve this problem. We may increase the budget, so we should buy those 3 products, or we may buy 2 products and deliver less products to the customer. So as you can see, with this approach, we can handle many cases, many decisions. Handling all these cases using the traditional way of REST APIs, it is very difficult. But in this way, we can handle every case. So what will we do now? So we will handle both cases, and I will add now another event, which is increase budget. So increase budget. This will have a state and an event, and I will add it here also. Increase budget, And what will we add here? So it will be very simple. We will get the data from the event, and now the state budget, we will increase it with the data budget like this, and we will return the state. So it is super simple, and let's add it also here. So let's duplicate this. Let's add another event. I'll duplicate tab. Let's copy the delivery ID, and this will have only the new budget. So we will increase the budget with by 20 here. So let me send again the event. So if I send this event, I will get not enough budget. Maybe I have an error here. So yes, not enough budget. But if I increase the budget, we can see the budget now is 70. And if I send this event again, the transaction will be completed and the status will be collected. So we got the 3 pizzas. We can deliver these items now to the customer. So I'll paste it here, and the sell price will be 25 and the quantity will be 3. Let's say the quantity is 4, so we make another mistake here. So here we can add another validation, just like we added the validation with the budget here. But this time is the quantity. So if the quantity is less than 0, we can say not enough quantity or not enough quantity. I will make the message. So if we add this validation, this won't work as well, because we are selling more products that we currently have. So it should be 3, and now everything is completed. So that should be it. This is the case when we decide to increase the budget. But what will happen if we decide to deliver less products? So let's do it right now. I'll create another delivery. I'll copy the delivery ID, and I'll start this event. And now I will pick up products here, and I'll get this error which says not enough budget. And this time I will decide that I will deliver less, I will buy less products. And it is working. But as you can see in the notes, we have picked 3 pizzas and the quantity is 2. And we can go now to the customer and we can deliver the products, which in our case we cannot deliver 3 anymore, but we will deliver 2 of them, which works. But is the customer satisfied or not? So we may go to another decision tree here. So the customer may accept less products, or the customer may want the other product next time, or the customer may refund the order. So either 3 products or none of them. So there are many decisions that should be made here, and I will not handle all of them. You can understand now how this architecture can help us handle all possible validation and all possible scenarios when we have an event-driven architecture. So we are finished with all events and all the APIs, but still there is one case which we didn't handle. So what happens when Redis fails? So in this case here, as we can see, we are getting the products from Redis, and I will copy again here the delivery ID, paste it here, and the status is completed. but this status is the aggregation of all the other events that happened here. In case Redis fails, our system should be the same, so it should return the same value here. But how do we do that? The way that we can do that is by rebuilding all the events from the beginning. So we have a log of all the events that happened in this app. So I will refresh here, and we have a lot of events. So here in Redis Insight, I can filter with main.event column star here, and here we will get all the events. We should filter all by this delivery ID, but it doesn't matter. We should get all the events from the database, and we should recreate this state here. So let's do that now. I will comment this part, and the state for the moment is none. Let's say that Redis returns none here. And if that is the case, if I send this event, I will get an empty object, which is this one. So here now I want to do an algorithm that will return the actual state. So that function, I'll create it here. I'll call it build state, and this will have a primary key as a string, and I'll call it here. So the new state will be equal to build state with the primary key, and we will return it here. So this is correct here. The only thing left is to build the state here. So let's complete this function. The first step is to get all the records. So Redis JSON has this function event all primary keys. Unfortunately, there is no other function that returns all the objects, so this is all we have, but we can manage to do what we want with this function. So we got all the primary keys. Now all the events will be equal to something for primary key in primary keys. So this something here will be event get primary key. So this will return all the events as objects. Actually, let us do it like this. So first let's return all the primary keys, so we can see how it works step by step. If we do that, let me restart this. If we do that, we will return all the primary keys like this. And if we do the second step, I will save it. We will return all the events of all the all the deliveries. So it is working fine, but we want only this delivery ID. So we need to make another filter here. Events will be equal to something here for event in all events, with the condition if event that delivery ID is equal to this primary key that we pass here. And this will be just the event like this. So this is the filtering that we want to get all events for this delivery. If I return it here, I will save it. We can see that this delivery ID is different from the first and the second event. If I send the request now, all the delivery IDs will be the same. So these are all the events for this delivery. And that should be it. So we got all of these events, and now what do we want to do? How do we rebuild the state as it was in Redis? Now the way to rebuild a state is to redo everything from the beginning. I will make a for loop now for event in events, and for each event we will build the state. So the state will start as an empty dictionary, just like we did when we create the delivery here. And for each event in the events, the state will change, and the new state will be consumers again. So it will be this function here. I will not pass here an empty object, but this will be the actual state. And that should be it. We will start with an empty state. We will pass the first event, which will be create the delivery, and we will update the state. And then we will go in the next event. And this will change the state again and again till the end, where we will return the updated state, and this state will be the state that we want. So this is how we rebuild the state. I will save it. Let's see if we have any errors. We don't. And let's send again this request. So we have an internal server error, key error budget. So I think I know the problem. When we return the events, I will save it. And when I return the events, I see a problem here. Is that the order is different that the order that we want. So what should we do right now? To be honest, I'm not sure why is it that it returns in this order. I think they are ordered by the primary key, which should not be the case. They should be ordered by the creation time. So it is the order is totally random. So the only solution that I can find for the moment is this one. So the first one is create delivery, and I will get this primary key. So I will make it manually, but it should work in every other database. It should work normally. So we should get all the events in a normal order. Then it is a start delivery. This is the second one. The third one is pick up products. And the last one, so not pick up products here, so my bad, it should be this primary key. And the last one should be the first primary key. And if we do it like this, we will get the events in the correct order. And now let's uncomment this part. Let's get the state. I will save it, send a request, and this is what we get. So this is the result that we wanted. So everything works fine except this get all primary keys. For some reason it orders the primary keys alphabetically, but we should get all those values based on the creation time. So this is a small bug, but I guess it's not a problem. You get the idea how it works. Now I will get the state from Redis, just like we did before, and if the state is not known, we return the state directly. If it is known, we will rebuild the state and we will save it again to Redis here. So we want to rebuild it again. And this is just the primary key. And this is the function. So if I send a request now, I will get the exact same result. And that's it. This is how we handle the state in the backend. Now it's time to build the frontend. Now let's create the frontend. So I will open a terminal here and run npx create react app. I'll call it React Events. and let's wait till it's completed. So it is completed, and now I'll open it with my IDE. Here I'll run npm start so we can start our React app on port 3000. So it should work fine. So now it is running. Now let's install Bootstrap for this project. I will install it directly through the terminal. So npm install Bootstrap. So it is installed, and I will go now to our app.js. I will remove these imports. We don't need the app CSS. I'll delete it. Even index CSS. Actually, I will just remove the code here. I will remove the test.js file. And in our app.js, I will simply import Bootstrap here. This CSS bootstrap.css. So we will get Bootstrap here. Let's also remove what we don't need here, and it will look like this. So this is just a blank page. I will go now to index.html, and here in the body I will add this class. So I want to make the background dark, so I will add this class here, and now it will look like this. Then in our app.js, I will remove this code and I will replace with this code. So this won't change anything, but if we want to add now a card, which I will add, so I will add a div here with a class name of card. Then inside I will add another div with a class name of card header. I'll add here create delivery. Here I will add a form with a class name of card body. And inside now we can have inputs. So I will add another div here with a class name of input just margin bottom 3, and another input here. This will be a type of number. Name will be budget. Class name will be form control, and the placeholder will be budget. So I'll copy this, paste it here, and we need another input, but this time it won't be a type number. This will be a text area, and this will have the name of notes, form control here, and this will be notes. And that should be it. Let's add also a button here with a class name of btn primary. Submit here. So this will look like this. So we have a card here to create a delivery. When we submit, we want to redirect to the delivery page. So we need to create another component here, which is a delivery.js. Here I will use a shortcut. So this is the delivery component that we want. And what will we show inside? So for the moment, I will just display delivery here. And let's add the logic in our app.js. So here I will create a variable id set id is equal to use state empty string inside. So we need the ID of the delivery that we will create. We will create that delivery from this form here, and if the ID is set, we will display the delivery component. And the way that we will do it is like this. So I will add here, if ID is equal to empty string, question mark, I will show this form. Otherwise, I will show the delivery component. And that should be it. So in the beginning, the ID is empty, so we will see the card here. But if this is something else, we will show the delivery here, so the text that we just wrote there. And when we submit this form, I'll create a submit function. This will be asynchronous, and this will have an event here that we will call prevent default. And when we submit this form, so on submit, we will call that submit function. So here now we will get the inputs from the form. So I will use a shorter way. So I'll create a variable form which is equal to new form data. Inside I will pass event.target. The data, so the values, the budget and the nodes will be equal to object from entries form, form entries like this. So this form data that entries will return all this number and nodes, so all the inputs. And if we do use it like this, it will convert it to a JSON as we want. So just like this, like a budget 10, etc., etc. So this is the format that this will return. And now we got everything that we want. The only thing left is to get the response, which is equal to await fetch. The request to create the delivery is HTTP localhost port 8000 /deliveries/create. We'll pass some values here, like the method is a post request, and the headers are like this. Content type is application JSON. Then we need the body, which is JSON stringify, and the way that we will send the data is exactly as we did in our Postman here. So it is like this. We need the type, which is create delivery. Type is create delivery, and the data is this data as it is here. That's why I call it data. This will convert those values like this JSON here. And that should be it. We will get a response, and we will convert that response to JSON. So we will await response JSON like this, and that JSON will contain the ID that we want. So we will set the ID to content, or I will deconstruct it directly. So we need the ID here, and I'll set the ID directly like this, and that should be it. So I will remove this one now, and if we go to our browser now, I'll put the budget to 50, and in the notes pick 2 burgers, submit, and we redirected to the delivery page. So that's it. So this is completed. I should have gotten the ID of that delivery, but let's create it again. So 50, pick 2 burgers, submit, and this will get this object. Actually, I will copy it all. This is the object. The ID here will be this one, and I'll cut this. I'll create another object here. I'll call it state, set state, and it will be equal to use state. So this state does not is not connected with this React state here. There are different things, but this is the first state of our delivery, and I will put it directly here because I don't want to recreate it multiple times, but later on I will revert it back, because the default state for this will be just an empty object. So I'll put it like this, and if I do it like this, we will go directly to the delivery page. And now let's build this page. Let's go to the HTML, and I will replace this HTML with a div here. I will add a class name of row and width 100. Then the second element will be a div with a class name of col 12, margin border 4. Inside, I will just display an h4 with a class name of bold and text white. And this will be the delivery, and I will show here the state.id. So this will be just the delivery ID as I show it here. So this is the title, and the next value will be the progress bar. So this is a little bit more complicated, but this is a div with a class name of col 12 and margin bottom to 5, and I will add another div here with a class name of progress. And now we need to add the Bootstrap progress bar. So how do we add it? You can check the documentation. So if we go to getbootstrap.com, in the docs we have the progress bar. So progress bar like this. So this is what I want to build, and I want to add an animation just like this one. So inside, the class name will be progress bar, background success, progress bar progress stripped. Actually, not like this, it will be progress bar stripped, and progress bar animated. I will close this part so we can see more code, and then I will add a role which is progress bar. Then we need some style, which we need to add only the width to 50%, like this, and we need to close the div. So this will look like this. So as we can see, the 50% of this bar is looking like it is in progress. So we need a second one, and now it looks like one progress bar, but we need to show different animation styles based on different statuses. So if the status is ready, then we don't want to show any progress bar. So in this case, I will do it like this. I will add here if state that status is not ready, question mark. I will show this progress bar, then I will not show anything, so I will make it like this here. I will not show anything then. So same will happen for this other one, but I can add the same condition, but it's not the same condition. So if we do it like this, the status ready is a white bar, which is correct. Now the next status is, I will manually change it here, it is active. So if the status is active, we need to show the half of the progress bar here in progress. So how do we do that? First, for the status here, I will change it. So this status here, it should be either collected, or I will copy, paste it again, or completed. So this is the second half. We need the status either collected or completed. And now we will show it like this, which is correct. Now, the next part is the status is collected. If we do it like this, we can see that the whole bar is kind of animated, but it should not be like this. Because the first part should not be animated, because only the second part should be animated. So for that, the class name here, I'll change it like this. So here I will check if the status it is active, question mark. If it is active, then I will show this class that we had. Otherwise, I will paste it again, but I will remove this progress bar stripped and animated. So if the status is active, we will show the strips and the animation style. If it's not active, then it is just the background success. And this will make it look like this. So it seems like the first part is completed, only the second part is not completed. And now the status is collected, and this is the correct animation. And the last status is completed. Which in this case, this should be all green. And the logic will be similar to this one that we just copied. I will paste it here. Except the difference is the status that we will compare it is completed. And that should be it. So, did I make a mistake or something? Collected actually. Now it is correct. So, that's it for the statuses. So we have a lot of conditions here, but the main thing that I wanted to show is if the status is ready, then we show a white bar. If the status is active, we show the first part is in progress. If the status is collected, the first part is green and the second part is in progress, and the last one is completed, which is all green. So these are all animations that I wanted. Now let's add the events. So we need some kind of events to trigger these animations. So for that I will add here another div with a class name of call3 here. Inside I will add a card, so I will copy the card from this form here. It will be almost similar, and I will paste it here. So the difference is that this is start delivery, and it won't have any inputs. And I will add later the onSubmit button. So if I add this, it seems I have a problem here. Now it should be correct. We can see the start delivery event here. So let's add more events. The second one is increase budget. And this time we need an input. I will paste it directly. So we need a number input that says the budget. So this is a second event. I'll copy this, paste it again, and the other event will be pickup products. And for the inputs here, I'll paste them again. We will have two inputs. One is the purchase price, and the second one is the quantity. And I'll copy this again to add the last event, which is the deliver products. And the only difference here, this is sell price, and this is sell price. And that's it. So these are the 4 events that we will work with, and they will all submit to the same function. So let's create that submit function here. Is equal to an asynchronous function. This will have an event, and the event will have prevent default. Now here I can copy the code from app.js. So this part here, it is almost the same. Let's go back, and I'll paste it here. So we will get the form here. We will get the data. So these are the inputs if we have any of them. If we don't have, that's not a problem. The event will be on event here, so that it was the wrong endpoint. Method post, the headers are correct, and the type will be different. So the problem here is the type, because each event has a different type there. But we can pass the type in the function here directly, and I can remove it here. So when I send the request, the type will be dynamic, and it will work like this. So let's go to the first one, start delivery. We will have onSubmit here. We'll have an event, but we will call a submit function with the event, and the type will be start delivery. So this is the difference. When we submit, we will call all the same function, only the type will change. I'll copy this, I'll paste it here, and this is increase budget. So increase budget. Same for the other one. This is pickup products, and the last one is deliver products. And that's it. So all of these functions will send almost the same events, but with different types. And we need also to handle the response. How do we handle the response? First, I will add the condition here. If the response is not okay, so we get an error, a validation error, then we will get the detail from the response, which is equal await response JSON here. and we will simply alert that detail, and we will return. Otherwise, we will refresh the state. So about the state, we didn't add here a use effect. So for the moment I won't do anything here in this use effect, but I will go back to our app.js because we are getting a manual delivery here. We need to pass that ID to this delivery object. So like this. So ID is equal to that ID. And if we pass it like that, in our delivery.js here, I'll add an asynchronous function that calls the status endpoint. So like this. Here I'll get a response which is equal to await fetch, and the endpoint that we want to call here is http localhost port 8000/deliveries, and I'll change the quotes here to this backticks. I need to pass here the ID that we sent from our app.js. So we need the props here, and this value will be props.id, and this is the status. So this is how we get the current status. The data, so let me close this. The data is equal to await response.json, and we will set the state to this data like this. And we don't need these values that we set before. So with this use effect, we can directly get the state that we want. And in our app.js, we can remove this one also, because once we create a new delivery, we will pass it directly here. So that should be it. Let's see how our app will work. Now let's add the budget as always, 50, and pick 2 burgers and deliver to customer. Submit. As we can see, once we submit, we get the ID, we move to the delivery page, and we have a lot of statuses. So here I forgot to add also another thing, which is to show the JSON. I'll go to the delivery.js, and here I will show the JSON like this. So div, I'll add here a class name of call12 and margin top 4, and I will show so this is not a div here, this is a code, and inside I will show JSON stringify the state like this. So if I add this line in the end, we can see the actual state at the bottom. So this is the object that we just created. And now we want to start the delivery, and when we submit, we want also to update this progress bar. How can we do that? So we can do that by calling the state again once this request has finished, and the only way to do that is to add another variable here, refresh. Set refresh is equal to use state false. It doesn't matter if it is false or true, but I will add here refresh, and once this value changes, we will get the new state. So if the response is not okay, we will display an alert. If it is okay, I will set refresh to the opposite of refresh. So basically I want to get the status again. And that should be it. So let's click now Start Delivery. It should work actually. Why it didn't work? So now that I check the JSON that we sent, we forgot to send something. So the thing that we forgot to send in this submit function is the delivery ID that we are. So that is my mistake. So we forgot to add here the delivery ID, which is the state.id, like this. And now we can test it again. And as you can see, the first part is animated, the status has become active. And now let's pick up products. So 2 products with the price of 20, submit, and as you can see, this part is completed, this is in progress, the purchase price is 20 and the quantity is 2. We can deliver the products, we can sell with a higher price, quantity, submit, and it is successful. So the first case worked just fine. So that's it. Now I'll refresh again and let's create another delivery. So the budget now is again 50, and now we pick 3 ice creams and let's submit. So as you can see, everything is working correctly. Let's start the delivery and let's start it again. So now we are alerting error. So the delivery has already started and we cannot start it again. So this is working fine. What happens now when we pick 3 products but we don't have enough budget? Let's submit, not enough budget. So what do? We may increase the budget. So I will increase the budget with 20. Submit, and now the new budget has been increased. And now if we pick up the products with these values, it should be not a problem. And now let's deliver these products. So a higher price and the quantity will be 4. We have another problem now, not enough quantity. So it should be 3. And now it is successful. So this is the simplest way of an event-driven architecture. I hope you learned a lot of things from this tutorial. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.